break it down in how you envision contractors running your product and running Quant. So the first one I want to ask you about is a feature I like. It's the onboarding feature. So I'll describe it first, and you can give some of how it started,
Yeah.
where is it going. So the our onboarding feature is a very exciting feature, and what this allows us to do is this allows us to have the workers, number one, self-register, provide their own certificates, and this takes a lot of ease off the site supers and all of the administrators on the project. So can you describe, what's so impactful about that feature, and what was the reasoning behind developing that?
Yeah, that's a great question, So one of our customer success managers used to say that, like, in construction, whenever new worker comes in, like, a lot of times the super or the safety manager has to watch the worker watch the video, you know, and that, and especially on large job site, we've heard that, like, the whole day is going on watching people watch videos, right? Today everybody has a cell phone. Like, there is no, we want to do job sites. I'm sure came from job site, like, recently as well, like, and what the genesis of this feature is that we want the worker to be able to do their training program while they are offline. So that saves the time for the TC or the safety managers to go through each person's orientation, actually. That's one of the goals. So, and the second goal will be then to digitize that, right? Right now, even till now, majority of the construction sites are storing their certifications as a copy on one of the folders, which is great. I think that, OSHA will come and see that. And we've talked to DOB, we've talked to OSHA, and how they will be able to, they're open to using digital versions of that. I think that's an evolution that's slowly happening. But every job site has a copy of the certification, right? It's such a, we want to digitize that part is the second part of that, right? And the third is also very, which is centralizing all the safety orientation training materials into a single place so that it's not a shared drive, it's not a PDF, it's in one central place for the entire enterprise or as a project level, so you have a central database for all your certification. The third will be at an enterprise level where the work is already on board in a certain project. You now have the historical records of what they've gone through. So they don't need to do it over and over again. Like, even if you say like 5 to 10 minutes of each worker, in the grand scheme of things, that's a lot of time saving, actually. So that's how we started. And I see that there's a lot of users in the field right now. And Mike, you had a couple of customers use that as well. Like, what was the experience about it?
Yeah, so I have some interesting experiences about this because a lot of times clients come in and they ask, okay, I'm gonna have to have someone print entering all the badge data, et cetera. And what I found is that the best person to input the data is the worker themselves. Every worker is actually very proud to submit all their certificates and all their information. And one of the things I would say that a lot of jobs capture is getting the worker's phone number. So getting each worker's phone number on a perfect rate. So every worker that's onboarded, I by default need their phone number. When they scan the QR code, they have to put in their phone number. And why this is great is because it gives me direct communication to the workforce. So as you know, I've seen the milk crates of paper with all the data records and training records on site, and you keep onboarding people, and you actually lose some of these key data, and the workers are constantly filling out this data, but it's not really centralized. I would say that I've really found a lot of great insights from having the workers enter their own information for accuracy.
Exactly, right. And I think there's a new use case, not a new use case, but one of the use cases that we've also found is that the trade needs to be accountable for what job they're doing. It aligns with the reporting and the compliance side, actually. We can talk more about the compliance, actually, but the orientation piece itself is such a valuable feature that, um, if 50% of the workers are able to do that on the offline, I think it saves a lot of time for the safety manager to, have to go through every worker individually, right? One of the job sites that we're working on, I think the safety manager said that, like, we want 90% to be offline and the 10% to be in person, so that you have a safety manager directly having a communication about, like, because the industry is still so impersonal, right? Our industry is like very person-based, handshake-based, like, and I think that that's, if that 10% can be in a personal level, when they get a badge, that I think can be, that's how I think we're seeing most of our customers operate right now, actually. Yeah.
I love it. I agree. So what I'm seeing a lot of is really using our onboarding feature in combination with the site training. You know, I really like how fully integrated we've been with everyone on the safety side, on all the parts. It's been quite interesting. I would like to connect your onboarding with the compliance component as well.
Yeah.
So one of the power features that I think Kwant is bringing to the market is when a user uploads their certificate, they set the expiry date.
Yeah.
When the certificate gets expired,
Yeah.
our users get a notification. So I see when a worker puts their certificate in a paper file, it gets scanned. It doesn't tell you when it's expiring or about to be. So can you talk a little bit about the compliance features and how you're connecting onboarding to compliance?
Yeah. So, we won this DOB challenge about 3.5 years ago, where they were trying to digitize some of these compliance processes. And you also know that right now, OSHA 40 SST is now mandatory in every job site right now. So what Quant does is Quant enables these subs and GCs to get their certifications stored digitally. And we're working in the OCR-based feature right now where we can even verify the certifications like, expiration date it input accurately, and then send an alert when the expiration certification is about to expire. You can set a date, either 5 days, 6 days. And on top of that, we also have the COI for the subcontractors, right? Because we have a huge compliance-based thing where, having a non-compliance workforce or not having a non-compliance sub on a site can mean a very huge loss, right? I think that this SSD cards violation is about $30,000, like $30,000 per worker. So that I think is a big help to have a compliant workforce over there. Along with the same with the subcontractor, right? Where you need to have a correct COI, worker compensation, GL, so they're getting paid. And we've had customers who have asked, like, if the worker certificate is expired, can we prevent him from entering the job site? And we can do that. We haven't had that happen a lot because of the alerts that we sent. We've had majority of our customers have their certification up to real time. But I think that we can also enable them to stop the worker from entering the site.
It's really great feedback. It looks like I want to point out that you have an advantage being based in New York City.
Correct.
I'd like to give a shout out to the DOB and the Department of Buildings is doing a lot of forward-thinking mentality on safety. So New York City, when they mandated the SSD cards, I see your answer to the question that led Quant to develop the compliance component. I would expect that a lot of other building departments across the country are going to follow suit with specifically with the SSD cards.
Yeah.
And pairing with the access control, that's an unbelievable thing. So let's talk about an SSD card, right? So can you describe what that is and why it's needed on job sites and some of the New York City intricacies?
Yeah. So SSD card is OSHA 40. Previously, there used to be OSHA 10 as a mandatory for everybody who enters a job site.
Okay.
But now SSD is a standardized version of OSHA 40 that every workforce that enters a job site of a certain size needs to have, right? I think this came about 3.5 years ago where there was a lot of fake certificates that was being circulated. And the goal was to standardize these certifications so OSHA knows what is fake, what is not fake. As well as I feel that there was a push from the unions actually, right? I think the unions wanted to have some standardization where there was not a fake SSD cards that they were coming onto, or on the other hand, like these non-union jobs, they had a lot of not qualified workers and non-certified workers, and they wanted to have the system or more advantages to them. So I think it came from that angle as well. Based on your experience, Mike, what do you think?
I think the OSHA card process is a little interesting. There's a lot of intricacies that many people may not be aware. I'm sure that it's difficult to track all these certificates. In general, I think most people are tracking this component in paper or
Yeah.
in folders, spreadsheets, things like that. So I think Quant has an advantage when that as the industry matures into this new reality where we're going to have verified SSD cards and different safety requirements of every single worker. It's only going to lead to more use cases for Quant. I'd also like to try to ask you a question, can Quant card become an SSD card? How would that work?
Yeah, so the Kwant card, has a QR code. It also has a Bluetooth chip in it. Well, yes, you can scan the QR code and you'll pull up all the certification that the worker has. You don't need to have an app.